How do you create an e-learning course? Even as many schools are back to in-person learning, there are still schools that have developed an e-learning experience for students who are quarantining. The sudden change to virtual learning back in 2020 was a lot for students and teachers to adjust to, but now it's safe to say that we've fine-tuned our online learning experience. Today, we're going to talk about how to create an e-learning course that is valuable to you and your students. Here are 7 tips. It's Alex here with Jotform. Let's get into it. Our first tip for improving the e-learning experience is to record your lessons whenever possible. This is a vital part of online learning and can be extremely helpful to your students. If a student is sick or can't attend class, they can watch the recording later. Or students who attended class can rewatch parts of the recording in case they missed anything. Many educators have fully integrated class recordings into their learning. Students can watch the recording outside of class, and while in class, they can ask questions and do homework. This is known as a flipped classroom, which has been around before the pandemic hit in 2020. This method can even be helpful to teachers. School administrators can send policy updates in a video format to teachers and staff. They can record a brief video summary and send it to anyone who missed the real-time meeting. This allows people working from home to stay informed on any quickly changing situations without being buried in emails. Second, prioritize personal connection. Needing social distance has been challenging for people of all ages. It's required us to socialize a lot less than we would normally. Kids and teens rely on their friends and classmates for support. That's why it's important to give your students opportunities to make personal connections with their classmates. One way to do this is by assigning group work or group study tasks. Allow students to work with one another instead of individually. You can also make time to meet with each of your students one-on-one to make sure they're understanding the material. These small steps can have a big positive impact on your students' mental health. Third, shorten your presentations. Did you know that most people can only pay attention for about 20 minutes before they get bored or distracted? This is already a short attention span, which can be even shorter for young learners. Learning by video makes it even harder to pay attention. Try breaking up your presentation into smaller sections. Lecture for 10 minutes, followed by a 5-minute activity. You can even incorporate music, games, fun quizzes, anything to hold your students' attention. Lecturing is the easiest way to communicate information in a virtual setting, but it can be harder for students to learn that way. Breaking up your teaching will allow your students to focus better on your lesson. Fourth, provide information to your students in multiple ways. In a normal classroom setting, your students can ask you to explain something further or ask for more context. This isn't as easy in an online setting. Present your information to students in a different way so that students with different learning styles can understand the material. Some students learn better with visuals and diagrams, while others would rather read about the subject. Either way, make the information that you're teaching available in multiple formats. You can share your PowerPoint presentations, download a transcript of each lesson, or even publish your notes for students to read. The key here is to give your students as many resources as possible to get the information that they need. Fifth, make sure your assignments can be done virtually. Not all assignments immediately translate well into a virtual classroom. If you're unsure about an assignment, test it out on a fellow teacher. If you can't clearly explain the process or your volunteer student can't complete the activity on their own, then it has to be tweaked or removed from the lesson altogether. Not only that, but your students may not have the access to certain materials at home. Consider your students' financial situations before asking their families to go out and buy things that may not be essential to the learning process. Sixth, look for free resources for you and your students. If you need to replace a lesson plan with virtual options, the staff at weareteachers.com compiled a list of more than 350 online learning resources for teachers. There's plenty of free online content that teachers can use created by museums, education startups, authors, and toy brands. These resources can be used to break up your lecture and keep your students engaged without needing to use any physical items. And of course, test out these websites and tools first before using them in your virtual classroom. If it does not have the quality that you want, then there's no need to add it to your lesson plan and potentially distract your students. And seventh, collect feedback from your students and parents. Even when developing virtual lesson plans and taking steps to lead your classroom even better than before, there's always room for improvement. Who better to ask for feedback than the students you're teaching? It's crucial that you keep an open mind when teaching virtually and listen to what your students have to say about your online teaching methods. You can even use Jotform to create a feedback form so students can let you know privately if they're having problems with an assignment or don't understand the material. You can even send surveys to parents to get their input. School administrators can also use Jotform to survey teachers and parents and collect feedback on how the school is being run and what changes can be made. So, to review, record your lessons and make them available to your students. Prioritize personal connections between yourself and students. Shorten your presentations and break up lectures so students can better pay attention. Provide class information in multiple ways. Make sure assignments can be completed virtually. Look for free resources online and collect feedback from your students and parents. While we all want this pandemic to be over, it's important that we make the most of this situation and ensure that the e-learning experience is a positive one. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alex with Jotform. Bye-bye for now.